Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Sven?
Very good. How about you?
Doing good.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Making sure my audio is all right now. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, sounds good. You will.
Cool. Awesome. Yep, and I hear you fine too.
That's good.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's so cool to meet you. Well, like virtually anyway.
Right, that's true. Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, so you just released your new album Touchdown about not quite a week ago yet, but
No, not yet. Yeah, last Friday.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna point out the album art. I love that. It's like a chromatic football with spikes on it. It's very metal.
Yeah, I mean that's how it should be, right? We needed to put some metal on it.
Damn right. So like with the so here's a kind of a off the wall question, I guess. Like, but with the name of the album and also like there's a track on it too called Touchdown. Like, are there any drum parts that you feel like whether you've played them live or or in the studio, wherever, that you feel like you scored a winning touchdown like after you finished the song? Because
That's
it was
that
so
that
like crazy to do.
I mean the whole song Touchdown itself is I think a piece of art. In the end, I mean, it's quite fast and progressive for our style of music, what we usually play. So it was a challenge in the studio as well. So as soon as I was done with that song, definitely I felt like I put down the touchdown. But overall, I mean, the whole album is that was the idea about it. I mean, we are not football fanatics or anything like that. I mean, we are from Germany, so when we talk of football, we talk soccer, So for a lot of people, it's quite, like, huh, what's going on? But to be honest, we didn't have an album title for that album for a long time. And we were touring in South America and we were sitting in the sports bar and there was football on the TV. And as soon as we heard the word touchdown over and over again, my dad said that should be the new album title. I think that fits perfectly because songs are quite aggressive, fast, and touch football is like kind of the same thing, it tackles and it's a aggressive sport, very fast, and stuff like that. So and we had the feeling that with this album we brought our music over the line. We made a touchdown. We were very satisfied with the songs and the overall outcome of the album. So that's how this whole title came together.
Cool. Yeah. So when you were like creating this album, what was that first song that you all got together and wrote, and how did that like set the vibe for the rest of the album when you completed it?
I can't really remember which was the first number that we started to write, but this whole album, the writing process of this album was quite complicated sometimes. We started out through COVID times still, because obviously there was no touring going on and all the festivals were canceled and stuff like that. So we had time to already start working on the next album, even though Game Over, our latest record, was basically just released. And then throughout the writing process, there were certain events that were not quite nice. I mean, I had a flood here in Germany, and I was affected by it. So my studio completely vanished within one night. My basement was flooded, and my ground floor was flooded like for 50 centimeters. Like what is that, 2 foot maybe, and stuff like that. And then the war in Ukraine started, and our guitarist Andre, he's Russian and he used to live in Ukraine with his family and his wife. So we were really like a month very uncertain, what's going to happen. Like we texted him every day, and we were really lucky if we got an answer every day that he's still alive. So there was painful times for him especially, but for all of us. So we had to get him out first. So we had to stop the writing process couple of times throughout the time. So, and I think this is how this music came together as well, because we had quite some we had some stuff on our chests, we wanted to get, rid of, and therapy ourselves. Music is therapy. So that's
Definitely.
maybe, yeah, that's maybe why the album came out so aggressive and progressive and fast and, straightforward that it is right now. But I can't remember which song we wrote first. But it just all came together with all these different difficult events, and yeah, that's how we ended up with this very progressive, hard, and aggressive album.
Yeah, and you also have a song called The Betrayer, which, I mean, when I was listening to the album, it sounds like that kind of it featured, like it kind of, some of the drum parts are more tribal in it than like throughout some of the rest of the album. So
Yeah.
where did that all spawn from? And how do you feel when you're playing like something so that can go like so crazy fast to just like tribal and kind of melodic at the same time?
Yeah,
Like, how does
melodic
that
at the
feel?
same. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think personally, I love that kind of change from the chorus to the verses. Because it's such a drastic drop. And then it, goes full on chorus, where also the voice of my dad is like screaming. Almost like a thrashy attempt at that point when it comes to the chorus. But then, as you say, I like that description of like tribal kind of vibe going on in the verse. Like I call it mystic a little bit, and so yeah, and all the themes, or the theme which is going on, the lyrics, like sort of hell, and lots of fire going on. Like usually we don't write about non-existing characters or anything like that, but I think for that song particularly, that was the perfect fit. We were just basically Googling for fantasy characters coming out of hell. There's no real person behind it. So that was also a different approach, because usually we try to keep it very realistic with our lyrics and take them out of our own lives, like we did on this album with the flood, for example. It's obviously about the flood that happened to me, and to the whole area here. Or Fight for Your Right is a song definitely speaking out against war, that like worldwide, it's still a huge problem, and we definitely, make peace and love and not war. That's our opinion. And then obviously it fitted perfectly because Andre was in that spot. I mean, he was there when it all started, and he was, yeah. I mean, he was just there, and no one knew what would happen. Or Isolation Man was about the pandemic. That everyone had to isolate, but this was also like an attempt of trying to sneak into a position of somebody. Imagine, like, you live on your own, you don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a wife or a husband, and you try to meet new people, and suddenly you have to isolate. There's no way you can get out and you can meet new people, or people who's like uh in a depressive state or whatnot, and they need people to see and to speak to, keep their energy up and their motivation to, basically keep their lives going, and we felt for them in that time. So yeah, I mean, usually we try to keep it very realistic. With the Betrayer, it's a bit different on this one, but yeah, I like the change of this very moody, mystic, tribal thing in the verse going into the chorus, which is like, yeah, as I said, a bit thrashy at that point.
Yeah, that's probably my most favorite song on the album too.
Mine too, mine too. I love it because of that change, and I love
Yeah.
the development of the vocals into the chorus with the pre-chorus, the bridge, developing into that different song characteristic. Like not a very typical song for UDO. But I think it turned out great. And when we first started writing this and we heard the demo, my dad was really unsure if he should do it or not, because it's not his kind of style usually. But that's the cool thing about him, even though He has so much experience throughout his career, and he did pretty much everything. He's still open-minded, to try out new things. So I said, just go in there and try and see if it works for you. And he came out super happy. He was like, yeah, we need to do this. And so I was very happy that we didn't say, oh no, we skipped this idea, because that's happening quite quick, that you don't get the connection to a certain riff or, the beat, the groove behind it. So I was very happy that we kept writing this song. And I think it's one of the coolest and at the same time one of the most untypical songs for UDO.
Yeah, definitely. I know UDO has like such an extensive discography. It's
Yeah, it's crazy.
like you look at it, it just like goes on for a
Yeah.
couple pages.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the cool thing is that there's nothing that's the same as the other one. It's
Right.
always something different. I mean, there were albums with keyboards involved, a lot of keyboards and like orchestral parts. Then there were a lot of sort of speed metal songs back in the days as well, when you go to Time Bomb, a lot of very groovy stuff and hard rock stuff. So there's also always been something new to each album, and that's what I love. And same with the newer generation albums, I would call them. I mean, there's so much change from Game Over to Touchdown that people definitely get something new and interesting to hear and to listen to. And that's sort of our approach. We won't go into the studio and say, oh, we know that this works, so we're going to do it again. No, we just go in fresh, and everything what we do should happen naturally. And if it doesn't happen naturally, then it's definitely not the right thing. If you try to force something, then it's wrong. And our approach always is to go in fresh and just try out new things and then see what's coming up.
Yeah, and that like with the song Fight for the Right, it's kind of like an anthem song in a way. So my question is like and there are a couple other songs like that that are like anthem style as
Yeah.
well. So was there a song that you feel is your most personal anthem on Touchdown?
Definitely Forever Free. That's something I would definitely underline for my life and for all of our lives within the band. There's so much shit going on in the world, and you have to try to keep sane. It's like, and always try to, we don't want to say you have to have that opinion. That's not what we try to say. It's more about like, think twice, and try to, put it in your own world and in your own picture, and then don't let anyone tell you what's right or wrong. Like, think about it on your own. You need to be your own mind and your own master at that point. And the conclusion of that thing is that you will be forever free. Just do what you want, be yourself, try to live your life, and take it as far as possible as it can go for yourself. And if you have a dream, then try and live it, because that's what we do, and we try to do. And I think sort of that's also what music stands for.
Yeah, definitely. And with it, with also growing up, like with Udo as your dad, which was pretty cool. Like, is it so when you were growing up, was there ever a song that you would listen to over and over and over again that is your dad's? And that just like
Yes,
still
yes,
means
yes, for
something to you
sure. I mean,
today.
there has been a song, and that's Metal Heart, which is still my favorite Accept song. So it even went that far that a friend of mine who is, I mean, I've not any longer, we don't have that much contact any longer, but the son of Dieter Dirks, who was the producer of Accept back in the day, um Julian and I, we were performing that song, like imitating, to be Udo and the guitarist and stuff like that in the living room of my parents back then. It was crazy. Like, we listened to that song so many times. also because of that awesome classical part. So yeah, Metal Heart is definitely the song which definitely was my favorite from the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah. And also like with growing up, you know, around musicians and that like within the music industry, you kind of see things from a different perspective than, you know, somebody else would who wouldn't necessarily be growing up in it. So what is it something that you feel like you have seen and learned throughout throughout the years, like even as a kid to now that you really have applied to the way that you make music?
Oh, sure. I mean, as you said, like growing up within a musical family and, having a dad who has that legacy, and you suddenly, I mean, when you're young, you don't necessarily realize what it means. You grow up and for you it's normal and that's how it should be. It's like any other job of any other parent there is, on that planet. For you, it's okay. My dad is singing in a metal band and we go visit him on shows and stuff like that, and we fly to festivals, and for me it was normal. I mean, and then when I grew up and I was getting a teenager, I maybe realized what that meant, and what I've experienced already. I was sitting behind Mickey D's drum kit when I was 8, and that's nothing that I say because I want to impress someone. It's just that's how it was. We were visiting my dad's friends at concerts, and stuff like that. So for me, it was very, very normal. And when I look at it, or when I look back at it now, of course it's special, and I don't take anything for granted, and I work hard for what I do. I worked hard for over all these years to become who I am now as a drummer, as a musician, but also to be um, part of that industry, and understand the business, because it's not only doing music, there's a lot of other things around that, and sometimes I'm still fascinated when people think, yeah, they go on tour and they go on a tour bus and they go on planes and then they fly somewhere and they have so much fun and blah, blah. We do have fun, and it's the most amazing job, and I don't want to do something different. I love what I do, but it is a lot of work that we put in that, and a lot of time that we spend to get where we are, and to produce new music, book shows. Then you have the touring aspect as well, and there's so many things that you have to take care of, and you want to develop yourself as a musician and of course as a person as well. So but yeah, I learned a lot, and I try to soak everything in, and grab everything that I can from people that I meet and I get to know, and I speak with them. And of course, I know a lot of crew people as well since I'm a little kid, and stuff like that. And I always try to learn and get to know what they do, so the show can work in the end, and the whole industry, how it works.
Yeah, which is really cool because you also do drum teching, or you
Oh
did, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. For a long time, and I still do sometimes. If I have time, I still go out and do it. If there's someone who needs, I was just recently teching for Creator for 1 week because their drum tech asked me to step in for a week, because he was on holiday, and I still do it because I'm still willing to learn, and hopefully this will stay forever with me, like I think that's the most important thing of life. Always try to learn and get to know new things. It doesn't matter what you do. If you do music or just a regular, I would call it regular job or whatever, or if you're just interested in something, you're always able to learn new things and approach new goals and stuff like that. So that's the most important thing, and that's what I'm trying to do.
yeah, it's cool to see the music industry from like on the inside and doing stuff like that because it gives you such a different appreciation for what goes into a show. Like,
Oh yeah.
people don't
Yeah.
even realize what goes into a show until you work it.
No, and I mean, I don't blame them, because that's the fascination of music. Like when I go to a show, sometimes it's tough to just don't see all the surroundings, like I would love to go to a show and just stand there fascinated by the music, going totally like crazy for the artist that I see. But of course, once you're in that world, and working there yourself, you always see like, oh wow, I mean, they put this you like I watch YouTube videos of Taylor Swift's tour, and I'm like, who planned that stuff? I mean, it's insane. Like, and they go out with 80 trucks or whatnot, maybe 100, I don't
Yeah.
know. And like, who coordinates all that? It's so much work that goes into, or still a festival that fascinates me as well. I mean, they're building all that for just 3 days of music, and there's so much stuff. And yeah, it is a very interesting world, and I definitely love to be part of that. And as I said, I don't take anything for granted, and I'm very, very humbled and thankful and honored that I can do what I do.
Yeah, it's a an amazing world to be in, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Like I see it, I do like not only the journalism stuff, but also like from the production standpoint to setting up lights to audio and stuff. And it's yeah, you're right. Like you go to a show and you notice like everything else, like if there's a light that's off or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, sometimes it drives you crazy, because like, you can't really go to a show and just enjoy it as the visitor. You always have that thing in mind, like, oh God, I mean, there's something not working out, so who's responsible for that, and stuff like that. And because that's what we do as well. When we come off stage, it's always discussing what was good, what was not good, like in any other job. We discuss the set list, we discuss lights, we discuss the stage set, we discuss the performance, and you try to be as good as possible. And like, I think I would speak for most of the musicians out there. You are never satisfied. You come off stage and there's always like, I made a tiny little mistake there, and nobody even realized. But yourself, it bothers you, and you just want to play it perfect. But I mean, we are all human, and we are not machines, and that's good, because music should be played by humans and not by machines. So, and I think
Definitely.
people appreciate that. If it's not perfect, 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 people will appreciate it in the end, because they know it's a live concert.
Yes, very much so. And the fact that it's real right in front of you.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
brings me to my last question because I know we're kind of like cut on time.
right.
That's okay. We can do another interview when you guys come out to Fargo, North Dakota in the future.
Right. I mean, we will be touring the States at the end of the year. So we will be coming out in November, December.
Oh,
And
cool.
we will announce dates pretty soon. We've been working on that for some time now, and obviously we had to postpone for, I don't know, 3, 4 times or whatever. It was planned way before this album came out, but I'm really looking forward to finally get back there and play for all the people. I really love it, and yeah, we can't wait to be back.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure if you come out towards North Dakota or at least Minneapolis, hopefully.
I need
I
to I
know.
need to check the schedule, but I might be in there. I might be
Yeah,
in there.
I have a friend out here who is a diehard, has like every single UDO album,
Right.
everything. So
Check the
he
dates and come out. I mean, if we're close, then definitely come and say hi. That would be great.
yeah, yeah. So my last question is going to be like, since we're talking about live concerts and whatnot, when you were growing up, what was that one concert that you walked into that just changed your life forever and made an impact on your soul? And what band was that?
That's actually, I think, how old was I? I mean, it was a festival in Germany called Rock am Ring, really, really big festival, and I've went there. I've traveled there like for 5 years with friends, huge group, and the typical festival thing. So I was maybe 16, 17, something like that, maybe 18. And I walk, was late at night. I was a bit drunk, to be honest. And there was Muse playing on the main stage, and I didn't know them. I never heard of them. So, and I was just, walking by, and there was like a balloon flying over the audience, and there was like a dancer hanging underneath that balloon, and I was just standing there, and I was so like that was a wow effect. I was like, what is that? And then I just stopped there and listened to the rest of the concert, and I think that was one of the most amazing shows I've ever seen, not only from the musical aspect but also from the performance and production aspect. So that definitely stuck in my memory. And yeah, I would say that was definitely a show that had an impact on me because they are so perfect when it comes to the music and playing it live. It's crazy.
I can only imagine. I've seen the videos of Muse playing, and it looks just mind blowing from a production
Yeah,
standpoint too.
definitely.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview.
You're absolutely welcome, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, you have a wonderful rest of the evening. I assume it's evening out in Germany. No.
Right. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day, yeah?
All right. See ya.
Okay. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.